This is AV Super Friends Perspectives, a collection of interviews, discussions, and presentations from conferences, trade shows, and events that just don't fit either of the other two shows. Some are long, some are short, but they'll all have valuable insights, useful information, or just good conversation with thought leaders and subject matter experts. And now, the AV Super Friends. For June 15th, 2023, it's the AV Super Friends Perspectives thingy-majiggy morning show.
Number, what, dose?
Number 27.
I gave up morning shows a long time ago.
I think we're going to have to call 911. Jamie's literally hit the ground.
Jamie is on the ground sleeping.
It's
with
only
his
the
coffee.
second day, man.
How are you drinking coffee in that? So Jamie is sprawled out
He's
on
a dad.
the
He's
floor,
got it figured out.
somehow drinking coffee in the prone position.
He's going to drown.
Yes, if he starts to choke on his own coffee, just roll him onto his side. It's fine. So, my name's Chris, no last name, by popular demand, and I'm joined today by Justin Rexing, Jamie Reinhart, Mark Kolowazinski, and Larry Darling, who all have last names.
What's Mark's name?
Kolowazinski.
Oh,
That's
damn.
impressive.
You nailed it. Yeah. At this hour?
Mark Cholo.
Cholo something.
That's how you know. All right. So we're still at InfoComm. We're still here. We're still in the same spot we were a day ago.
We've never left.
we
We
slept
have
here.
stayed here.
We were
have special
secretly
purple passes.
hiding in the booth all night.
Justin had a sleep where I want pass last
Yeah.
night, so he slept here.
He just passed out where he was. So
Made sense.
we made some notes late yesterday for kind of what we were seeing on the show floor and what we're kind of seeing some general trends and some themes. First one, kind of surprising. I thought I'd bring it up here. Let's just say we'll try to be industry neutral here, but say some frustrations, some challenges with IPMX as an AV over IP standard, and we're hearing that from manufacturers, who I won't name, but it's not Crestron because they weren't part of that.
No.
But it's interesting that if the entire point of a working group is to have a set of unified or at least semi-agreeable standards for, in theory, interoperability at some point, AV over IP protocols, and the manufacturers who are part of that and want to implement it are having challenges with the organization, that does not bode well for any sort of success.
No, but they did get their logo and swag out there. There's a lot of that on the floor.
A lot of just IPMX logos out there?
Yes, it's all out there.
Congrats.
But
So their marketing team doing a great job.
The marketing team?
Okay.
So the
Tip-top.
challenging thing is the process to sign up? Is
Okay.
that, or what's
No, I think the process
challenge?
to sign up is easy. I think it's
It's
actually
easy?
to implement and be part of be an active part of that group. I'm not the manufacturers who are
Right.
claiming it, but
No.
IPMX isn't actually a shippable product yet, is it?
Yeah.
Well, that
It
depends
can
who
be.
you talk to and which manufacturer, because
Right.
that's part of the frustration right there. You've now
'cause
nailed it exactly.
I thought it was still in interop mode, testing
still
mode.
in the oven?
or- Yes. So
But you
I
have
thought,
to have something to test. I mean,
yeah, but they're not going to bring that here for us.
But they
Or now next
Actually,
year,
Well, then who?
actually they frickin' should be.
not
Who is it
test,
for?
not
It
to
must
test.
be for Microsoft in their little secret rooms
if
over
not
here.
here, where?
That's a good
and
point.
If not now, when?
And if not us, then who?
If it's still in its mass test, its beta mode, then
I don't even think it's that far.
yeah, I think it's still in interoperability mode, and for the most part. And if it's not here next year, then I'm all on.
well,
in
it's
bashing
been
them.
here last year and the year
Oh, the
before
name.
in logos
Yeah,
and
it's been
names.
coming. It's been
theory.
coming next year for
Yeah.
5 years. So.
Yeah.
The theory.
Yes.
I quit.
What do they say? The great thing about AV standards is there's just so many to choose
If you
from.
don't like this
Yeah.
one, I have others.
Yes.
We have a lot
Could I
of
interest you in
standards.
this other standard? Does it work with that one? No, this is a completely new standard. But it is a standard.
Wait another year,
Or
and
we
there'll be a
got
new set of
version
standards.
3 standard
what would you
coming
like
out.
in this standard next year? We'll add it.
Well, I think harkening back to Rachel's thing, one of the guests yesterday mentioned it's good to have standards, but at a certain point, they will hamstring you. Like, you won't move forward if all you do is your standard thing. So I was like, that's actually a really good point. Like, if we're all waiting for this magical unicorn standard to come through, what will we have missed out on? And if we're a part of some other standard, what will we be missing out on?
So you're
moving
looking
forward?
at this like as a moving automobile train plane. So you got on this standard, which is a plane, and then you're
Yes.
flying, and then you're missing the
You're
bus.
missing the bus. You're missing the train. Like, you don't get to make use of all those on ramps that your tax dollars are going towards, right? And so you're just flying over all that
But
stuff.
I think we're quickly, let's put telephones in, right? Well, the old
Missed the
that's
standard
not a
train.
telephone, that's a train. and I'm not on that train. I'm riding the bus. But I sure the hell ain't riding a plane. That's why I can't get anywhere. But
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's like telephones, right? I mean, the old POT system, everything has to talk to everything at some point.
Yes.
And then when we start transitioning to cell phones, it was a slow and painful, but remember, there was a day where if you were on an AT&T cell phone or whatever it was at the time, you really couldn't call the Verizon guys because they'd like to put the little BS in there. And then it started to
Make your sound worse.
I think it was like the text thing, texting people out of your network, and how that became a standard.
Hey, remember when we used to buy minutes?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
But I kind of see
discs.
that there can be progress, there can be advancements, but for God's sakes, why are...
Unfortunately, Jamie, I think a lot of that involved the FCC getting involved.
Amen.
I think that's
more government.
That's what's going to solve
what we
this.
need.
We need the
Yeah.
government
More
involved
government.
at AV.
And they'll step in and set the standard, and everything
Maybe
will
they'll-
just be solved. It'll
Maybe
be
we'll
perfect.
quit this 21... Oh, never mind.
No.
They'll
That's
say the
not-
new aspect ratio is 22:9, and the
22 by 7.
22 by 10.
22 by 10. With an extra on both. Little
22
buffer.
by 7, and we're texting the crap out of it.
It's for the menu bar.
All right, so... But,
It's okay.
yeah, I do see the documentation everywhere, but
Yeah, there's pins, there's stickers, there's logos abound.
So on a semi-related trend that we're seeing is that pretty much at this point, I think, and I think it was Mark who said it yesterday, is like, have you noticed that, or maybe it was Larry, one of the two. I'll give you guys.
It was Mark.
I'll give you half credit. That everything is on the network. Everything is a
Yes.
network endpoint. It's just assumed these days. We don't have to fight that battle any longer. Of no, I need an RJ45 on this because it's going to be on the network. Everything is on the network. Now, I'm not saying everything is secure or operates properly or behaves well
should be on
Or
the network.
or
operates
should be on the
within
network.
standards.
In fact, I even saw was it Biamp today announced a little box to make a non-network device networkable, but not in the way that Jamie in particular wants.
Isn't that a control system?
No. So they have a thing to take their USB soundbar dealie
Yeah.
and make it networkable for monitoring, but not for AVB. So
No, just
I don't
for
even care if it's AVB. I'm just so damn tired of people making this shit and then expecting to use a 6-foot cable.
You need more coffee.
Oh, Betty, I'm
But
loaded up.
No, but Jamie, it's not for network transport
It's not-
either.
no,
as I
it's for-
understand.
it's for monitoring.
It's for network monitoring only, as I understand
Then
it.
it's useless.
There you go.
but not in the IT sense. The IT sense that Big Brother wants to know what you're using, why you're using it,
and
when
no,
you're using it, and if
Big
it's on
Brother
or off.
doesn't want the sound bar on the network.
No. Big Brother just wants to know:
Is it on?
You using that?
Yeah.
How much are you using that?
I
Where's
had
my
a-
money going?
And I'd be willing to bet there is
Yeah.
some, larger organization, maybe it's a government standard or something that says for us to be able to be part of these large bids, it has to be monitorable by a central thing. So that
Okay.
now they sell a widget box to do that.
Great. So you have this widget box that does this thing. Then why can't I also really use it for what it's supposed to be used for and monitor it?
That's a separate thing.
That's the
That's
BS.
different.
I talked to a manufacturer rep yesterday, a big display rep, and he asked about
Like he's really tall?
monitoring. Well, he was taller than me, but that's most
irrelevant.
That's most 7-year-olds.
Everybody's big to Jamie.
But I'm like that, Lily Putin. Gulliver, I'm looking for that guy.
Yeah.
When Justin and I walk around, it's kind of
Come
what
on,
it
move,
is.
move on.
But no, I was talking to him, and he asked me about this monitoring thing, and I said, "Well, does it monitor more than your display?" Well, no. All of our displays would talk to the cloud. I'm like, dude,
They're not talking to the cloud.
you
Cloud, yeah.
100% missed the boat.
No.
Well,
But
I will.
I'll die on the hill a little bit. I think there are a lot of businesses that is their model.
Yeah.
Until
They
they
want
get
all their shit to move
compromised.
to the cloud. Yes, until they get compromised and have.
well-
but that's the.
But why would you want a cloud service for just your displays, a cloud service for
Yeah.
just your sound bar, a cloud service for just
We're
your
starting to see that
headphones?
too. That
Yes,
everyone
there's
wants.
too many clouds.
And
They're
that's
all- Yeah.
And that's what my point was.
we
I was
need a
like, you
standard
missed
for the cloud.
Here's the thing I do know about clouds. When you get enough of them in the sky, it will rain the fuck down on you.
And they all-
so that's the thing.
And they all look
It's only a
different.
matter of time till all of our cloud-based services rain down on us with a great vengeance and furious anger.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they all bring different types of cool weather and
Mm-hmm.
storms and rainbows
in
sometimes.
overtime.
But in that same vein, you're hearing a lot. It's it's permeating up from the cracks. Zero trust. I think that's another trend we're kind of seeing.
Yes.
Everything's acknowledging that there's going to be this day of reckoning where nobody's allowed to use the network. All the network engineers will have succeeded by keeping all of us off of it, and it's going to be a glorious day.
And I think there's going to be this even harder push-pull with the zero trust. And also what we're seeing is maybe some smaller boxes out there with more powerful software. So as you add more power to your software and it does more things and it reaches out to more stuff, how does that play with the zero trust? Because we want more data out of all of our stuff. But then
Yes.
IT doesn't.
I don't want any
us
data.
to have
I
any
just
of our
want it
data.
to fucking work.
They want just
Wow, Jamie.
physical ports that plumb straight to the cloud. There's
You guys
no
get a
in
whole
between.
different Jamie at
Yeah, I
7
do
in
that.
the
So
morning.
I do that now, Mark. I take one end to terminate that, plug it in. The other end, I feed out the window. I just leave it unterminated.
It just
And you,
And the clouds
spread,
catch
you
it.
spread the 8 conductors slightly, and that allows it to talk
That's
to the
that
cloud.
new wireless network standard.
That's right.
Whoever plugs in, plugs in.
I mean, is that going to be a thing?
use-
Are we going to see like
Yeah, that's called
managed switches that just have a 5G uplink on them, and there is no other physical connection?
That would actually work
6
better.
Yeah,
7G
are we
maybe?
moving to that? So it's like we have our own. It's all cloud. Just go straight up to 5G, and that's it. We're done. There's
What
no
if we,
other
what
physical
if we were to
building connection.
sell a small form factor antenna that has a 90 on it, and on the other end of the little
the Cat 5.
bayonet connector, it just has a RJ45 on
Can
it?
it be one of the mini coax?
You know what?
Yes, one of the really small, hard to terminate
Yeah.
ones.
You know who's going to love that? Like all the as a service folks.
Oh.
They're like, oh, we're just going to
Yeah.
put we're not even going to touch a building.
Is it 5G?
Yeah.
like that? That's what they would love.
Well, actually, and that's, I don't know if you saw, there's a new endpoint from the folks at Evertz, who are right around the corner here, that I saw yesterday, that has like 6 antennas on it that is designed for exactly that, to basically like, okay, we need to get this signal from here to there, but I'm going to just drop it and fire it wirelessly over to the other end. And I'm like, I'm reticent about that just because, wireless
we,
is...
we do that. Well, video's been doing that for a long time with bonded and all that stuff.
Right.
Like, you know what? You guys aren't mature enough to handle it on your network, then fuck it. We'll make our
Well,
own.
and that may be, I didn't look at that particular one, but that may be what the idea is, like, hey, and if you can't touch the the building network or whatever, use this.
Yeah.
That's actually interesting.
Fellas love it. We're doing that for commencement this year.
So
We
now
have
we're
bonded
just
video.
mitigating
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
ubiquitous network that we've always wanted to be on.
I'm installing my own microwave towers
Yeah.
on
Well,
campus.
I'm just putting it on a network, not the network anymore. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the same thing we've always talked about, but now I'm taking advantage of some of that cloud stuff that's been out of reach.
Cloud
You know
stuff,
what
huh?
you could do is just put a switch in and a router in every one of your systems like
Oh,
us.
I'm not allowed to do
They
that.
love that.
Well, the network is just a really, really nice toll road that they've jacked the prices up to get onto. That we're all like, you know what? I'm not going to
They
get on that
just,
toll road.
it's
I'll
not
go somewhere
just,
else.
It's not just the tolls. They've also lowered the speed limit down to about 5 miles an hour.
Right. And
Like, I
it's
currently have
just cops every 30 fucking feet. There's nowhere to go.
I currently have a DNS issue on campus where it doesn't always propagate the appropriate host names and IP addresses. So that means, in the sense of your analogy, they're also changing the road signs periodically.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's high tolls to get on. Excuse
Careful.
me.
You gonna
I'm
make
die
it?
here. Speed limits lowered and those road signs changed periodically.
And it's heavily surveillance.
Yeah.
Heavily surveillance.
They got
You
cameras
gotta
everywhere
search your
taking
car
pictures
to get
of
onto the
license
toll
plates.
road. You can't even get on until they search your car.
Sometimes
Yeah.
they pull you over and beat the hell out of you and search your car.
Exactly. Excuse me, you got 1, 1, and 0 out of sequence. Why don't you pull over here,
I
sir?
heard a story the other day about something just like that.
That's
Yeah.
that's a suspect 0 you have there in
Exactly.
that packet.
They will.
You got a license for that packet, sir.
The 37-0, that's out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come with me.
Sorry, these IP packets can't cross this line.
Our K9 packet inspector just signaled on your traffic there.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
God.
It's happening.
That's
But yeah,
not admissible in court
So
anymore.
we see you're embezzling multicast.
Yes. So
right,
that
please
is
stop.
definitely a trend on the floor. Is that everything's. We're here. We've converged, and everything's a black box with multiple network ports and/or antennas.
But it is interesting. From a few years ago, you didn't have to explain why you wanted something on the network. Now everyone wants their stuff on the network. They just don't seem to have gotten beyond that point. We want it on the network. Okay, what next? Oh, it's on the network.
It's on the network.
It's
Yeah.
discoverable.
We're
There
done.
it is. Yeah,
You can monitor
It's broadcasting all day long where it is, so you can
And you
easily
can
find
see
it.
that it's on.
It's almost to the point where like the network jack has become the USB port that's for service only,
the service
for
only-
future use.
that you-
For future use.
That you take half the boxes apart and it's not even
but they
soldered to
don't.
the board.
But they enable it right away, and then they build upon the feature set as it's.
Yeah, because it's never
Yeah.
happened.
I mean, like the amplifiers we were looking at yesterday, they're monitorable to tell if your speaker connected is actually drawing the appropriate load.
Yeah, I think that was awesome.
I think that's kind
Steward
of a waste.
audio, by the way.
I think it's valuable.
Yeah, stored audio. But
Yeah.
it's really
in a full
No, well, if you-
monitored
if you
ecosystem,
understand- so
In a
yes.
full monitor, is that worth jumping through the hoops to
no.
get that information?
Not necessarily, but what it was about
Depends on
switch
the
protection.
system.
It was about the ramp up when that turns on and that PoE draw, not just browning out your network switch. So depending on your load on that actual amplifier. So I thought it was a protection
If it's
feature.
shorted and
Yeah.
it starts
I
overdrawing,
Yeah, but like
I think it's more about
it's a little
hey,
much.
it's
Yes.
a little. Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
cool, but unnecessary.
Yeah, it's
I have a use case for those is more of the integration side where you have more systems that are further away, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours.
Yep.
Like that's pretty valuable for me if I can figure out how to monitor the whole. I'm not going to throw in an amplifier and monitor that only thing in a generic classroom.
Yeah, but
right?
you're
That doesn't
talking
make
about
sense.
systems that are not on an enterprise network.
Sure.
Okay.
And that's
different.
that's
Like,
where it
for
makes
that,
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But I think if you look at
they're
it-
trying to reach just that little bit further, right? So we can
Yeah.
already monitor all their stuff, and this is the bonus.
Yeah.
So that's what it is to me, because there's a lot of these things, but I want all the other stuff.
We can't criticize them for doing that because
No.
the industry's been asking
I
for
think
that
it's
for
awesome.
a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a step, and it's cool. And the amplifiers are cool. Like,
Yes.
I'm going to look at those. I'm just know if I implement that, I will not jump through those hoops to
No,
get that
but
amplifier on my network.
It depends on where it's the spectrum conversation again. Any sensor that we have out there in itself, by itself, great. The light's on, that's off. The
But when you
temperature's
have
this
a
or that.
holistic
but you
view
have
of
a
it-
whole building of them, and you have a dashboard. You're like, here's my draw, here's my use, all that. It's that story that sensor makes. You're gonna need the sensors, and we're in that time where it's cheap and you can proliferate them. Everything will be monitored and tracked and put into a data set, and that's what we're seeing. And so it's just a drop in that bucket of data conversation.
What I'm viewing this as is where we're going, and I remember creating this content for Avixa a long time ago. We started talking about manager of managers, and this is something very, we call them moms, very IT-centric terminology.
Moms?
So you have,
My
it's
mom is basically a manager of managers.
manager
Yes.
of managers. And what happens is, the way I view this, the
that a
way we're
middleman.
designing systems is, we have a manager of each classroom, which is our control system. We can turn that into a monitoring system, and then
you're
you
aggregating data. You're bringing
that's
it
what
down.
I
that
do.
parses all the data. Maybe it's an amplifier, maybe it's these other widgets, and then your manager of managers is going to manage over those classrooms.
Who's in charge
for
of that,
example,
AI is in charge of that.
well, for example, one of the first ones we know as
Exactly.
manager of managers is RoomView by Crestron, right? Long time ago.
yeah.
And it's advanced to
Somebody's
not
saying,
RoomView
what about global
specifically.
configurator?
Right. That's a
We're gonna give you
manager
the
of
credit, too.
managers.
Yeah.
That's garbage too.
So if we can find a software platform that will allow us to communicate with different manufacturers and see a clean dashboard of all the data
Yes.
without us
And
programming all that from
there's
scratch.
a couple out there that are
Yeah.
trying to be the dashboard for all these disparate systems, but inevitably they don't pull all the information. So
But that's where I want to see this going is that route. And I think we're probably
I don't disagree.
years away from this. Or maybe it's not even possible because of how our industry's formed. But that's where I want it to go.
But that's
well,
all
no,
the
it
smart
is- it
building
is-
and all that stuff.
It's
That's what we
absolutely
want.
not possible because of how the industry formed, because they're not going
Yeah.
to want to play. Justin,
There's standards.
tell me all your secrets
Well-
so I can put it in my system.
Exactly.
I keep seeing posts and things about folks who want to enact some of these KNX systems and some of these because they actually do have an infrastructure for building monitoring.
Yes.
And now, if you can write those KNX hooks into your thing, you can now monitor all of your AV as part of the building management system that is
This-
agreed upon by everybody else because they're not as nerdy as we are.
But to me,
That's hard
this
to
is
do.
this is
Yes,
how
it
we're
is,
starting to
but-
feed the big data. This is where AV meets big data, and this is where AI comes in and takes all of your jobs, and you should be scared. And so that's gonna happen, right? I mean, it's on our list of stuff to talk about. Let's segue into the big data AI conversation.
See,
It's not
It's-
big data. It's just it's actually
AI.
little stuff with AI.
Yeah.
but that's what feeds it. That's how you get in there. And
It's not what we're discussing here is an AI. Anyway. Larry, you saw the world's tiniest AI-enabled camera.
Yeah, like I'm not sure. I
Is
have
it
an actual
really
use
AI?
case for it.
Really AI?
No,
it's not.
It's not.
I couldn't trick it, and so it's impressive coding.
Yeah.
Like
I saw.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, where was that?
That was
Because I walked by a 360 one, and it was really impressive.
the Insta360. It's a webcam, and that's my biggest problem with it. You can only
yeah,
get.
it was on that back wall back.
No, it's over in the
Oh,
Trailblazer
I saw a
section.
They're
It-
cheap. They're super.
It was
They're,
connected to
they're actually selling them here.
Yeah,
you can give
for a
them a
couple
credit
bucks.
card
Yeah.
and get one.
It was
I've got
connected
cash
to a
on me right now.
We have a
But
couple of our
you-
directors have them. They have them in
Yeah.
their offices, and they just track around their
Yeah,
office.
if you
and
raise
so-
your hand,
Follows them to the bathroom.
it blinks
Goes
and
into the
starts
stalls,
following you.
peeks up over the.
And me and my coworker was trying to get it to trick, try to get it confused. Never did.
I saw an OEM unit in the back that for certain
What was the name of it?
certain
Insta360.
it was right down the way
Action
from the
cameras?
HETMA booth, but it was same deal, an OEM
Yeah.
import thing. But and I asked him about the software. I was like, great, but if I wanted to do this in a special use case, how do I view it on a computer and things? And they actually had it. The plug-in for VLC for the QuickTime thing, it actually uses that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
holy crap, it actually uses regular stuff and not... And I did. I was walking around trying to find the seams on the 360 cameras. And now if you were standing a foot away, you could get the seam.
Yeah.
But if you were
Your back on it stitches together.
And so it came a long way, and it didn't lose me.
No.
I couldn't believe it. And it was running, it wasn't a standard laptop. It was a higher-end laptop, but not out of the question.
So do you?
I thought it was
We're going to
interesting.
split hairs here for a moment. Let's check in on our definition of AI for a moment. Do you think product like that is actually AI, or do you think it's just clever algorithm?
I think this one's a clever algorithm, but it's interesting that they had that kind of processing power in a cheap little webcam.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
And I think that's going back to what you said, Justin. The processing power at the endpoint is we're seeing that like, wow, that's a lot of horsepower in a a little tiny thing.
I think it's starting, and I'm also seeing a lot of we stood outside in an aisle and talked about one of the facial recognition things. But having that thing be able to monitor you, and the idea that you can now use some of these facial recognitions with this kind of thing, all of a sudden, now let's get out of the fact that you have to have facial profiles of every single person. And that
That's
database
not a discussion
for
we
AI.
want to have.
I know. So to get out of that,
That should be fine.
I sent that all to China already.
let's
Should be fine.
That's where it's all going. Let's get out of that moral argument, ethical
Yeah.
argument for now. No, I don't think that this fancy camera was that. I think it was
I don't think
very.
it is either. Yeah.
I think it was very.
I think they're using AI as a brand to sell it.
Yes.
And then,
But
the
transitioning
AI,
is there.
The
Transition's
AI I
there.
experienced yesterday, the AI that people are recognizing, the chat GPT-ish type stuff, right?
Ugh,
Where
yeah.
you are actively using a data set that exists in the cloud,
Yeah.
and then you're incorporating that into your AV experience. That's a different subset. And I think that's what we saw one manufacturer who was allowing the support side of a system to be actively fed into AI to be scraped.
Let's put a pin in that particular
Okay.
topic till tomorrow because we've got that's a larger, not larger. There's more of that sort of thing out there.
But yeah, so I'm seeing things like that.
Yes.
They're out there, and we'll bring you more of that tomorrow. But I think that's another trend in that AI kind of conversation.
I do want to say, like, for example, the same thing with the gesture recognition, things like that, which AI or not, I mean, it's simply looking for shapes and how to identify when a shape changes. But, I mean, they even snuck that into Zoom a couple of months ago. So you can hold up a thumbs up, and then the little thumbs up emoji comes up in the corner sort of thing, which is, that's easy to do. It can, not easy to do, but you know what I mean. It's looking at you, and this thing appears in a certain shape, and it's there for 4 seconds, and it triggers a little response. That's
We can get an icon, but we can't get audio we can hear. That's okay.
well,
it's not my problem. That's somebody else's.
yeah, that's the audio engineering team. So I just work on icons.
Yeah.
But we are definitely seeing things like that, whether they are true AI or not. We're seeing things branded as such because it does get eyes on it. So.
Right. Exactly.
Any last trends we want to bring up that we've seen from day one? I think we'll see some more stuff.
I think we
blue
mentioned
carpet
it.
seems to be the trend in here. I
Yeah.
used to remember there used to be multicolored carpets.
Or
in the
red
room.
carpet.
It's
There
all
was red
just
carpet.
blue
There is.
carpet
If
now.
you get to certain areas, the carpet does change.
It does. Oh, well,
It does.
I haven't gotten that
I
far
did.
yet.
I did meander into a dark corner of this place yesterday.
I think we
Why?
mentioned this a little bit yesterday, but there is a substantial
looking for
lacking
food.
of 21:9. We have noticed that. Did we mention that yesterday?
It's not as overwhelming as predicted.
Yeah.
We
We'll
thought
put
it was
that
going to
way.
be everywhere.
I mean, there's one right there.
I mean, it's around, and
it's
it's
like-
kind of like, hey guys, this is normal, and it's like, is it normal? I don't know if it is normal.
Me and Jamie were talking about it, though. Like, they look small when you look at them, though.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not as impressive as the sales brochures look. You stand up there and you're like,
Because they're simply taking the existing height and moving wider,
Yes.
not taking the existing width and moving taller.
And so you're really underwhelmed. So I don't know if having them out there
It's
a
a
good
great
idea,
sales
yeah.
feature.
sales feature.
Well, and to be fair, they're also bringing the smaller versions here because it's easier to transport.
Yeah.
set
And
up
also, there's some manufacturers showing content on these things, and most of the content is
it's pillar
either a
box.
Microsoft Teams snap of something, and then they show other 16:9, or I guess maybe, I don't know, 4:3 content is like letterbox. Like,
It's
what
the same, like, people who've done graphics for, like,
Yeah.
stadiums and stuff, like, them being hyper-aware of different resolutions, that's now going to be a normal thing. Where
Yeah.
it's like, you have all this weird resolution.
That now
should
should be a
Well,
normal
no,
thing.
it trickles up. Think about when Photoshop was like new to the world. Everybody was learning how to do. Oh my God, you can put somebody's head on somebody else, and now you can do that anywhere, right? I think the awareness of these like graphical best practices
don't disagree.
are going to trickle into society. I think this weird resolution awareness is going to happen. It has to start somewhere. It's going to start here. It's weird. It's not everywhere as much as people threatened it would be.
The marketing material made you think that this place would be nothing
Yeah.
but
21
the
by 9.
ultra wides, and it's not really the case. It's here. Let's not.
It is
And
here.
it's around, but it's just kind of another offering. It's like, oh hey, we have HD base T and we have IV over IP. We have 16:9 and we have 21:9. Great. Let's go.
It's just more real estate. There's not much else. It's like here's a big display with extra pixels.
All right, well, let's roll out. We'll go check out more stuff on the show floor today,
tuned. We'll
which is
bring more.
still not open. And when the show floor is open, because we're in here secretly.
Are we in here?
We are in here.
Yeah, the show floor doesn't open for 23 minutes. We've been
Yeah.
in here for almost an hour.
Tell that to these folks.
We need to thank Chris Netto and the Starin booth for letting us.
Yes, again,
Yeah,
thank you to
thank you.
Chris
Yeah.
Netto and Starin for allowing us to sneak in and set up.
And kind of trashing your area.
We're not
here.
trashing.
We're going to clean it up.
Yeah, we got to clean up.
Well, that wraps up another episode of AV Super Friends Perspectives. If you have a perspective to share, you can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV Super Friends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.
It's recording.
Okay.
It just started recording.
Are you sure? Oh, look, a red dot. Is that the
it's
power
going, yeah.
dot?
This
I'm just
Is
saying
the timer thing
there's
happening?
often gold in these Demdar hills.
There's
so.
gold in these mornings.
We're 10 seconds into this.
yes.
This fucking Zoom recorder is a hair and a biscuit.